We know that. Good morning, everyone. Today is Lag BaOmer, which represents the turning point of the 49 days which connect the festival of Pesach with the festival of Shavuot. The 49 days which you have to count starting, as we have explained before, with a barley offering, that's the Omer, barley being animal fodder. It's if we are on the level of being two-legged, intelligent animals, but still behave like animals, as was the situation when we were being released from the terrible sufferings in Egypt, we're like zombies. But we had to build up ourselves from that time with the help of Hashem to reach the level where we could receive the Torah and become true human beings. And the national offering is human food, wheat, shtei halechem, brought on Shavuot. So this is the deeper significance of counting the Omer. And to understand this, the Ramban, major commentator on the Chumash, a deep thinker, deep philosopher, and even mystic, and also one of the best commentaries on the Chumash. He says that the two festivals of Pesach and Shavuot, they're to some extent similar, because Shavuot is also called Atzeret. Like we have 7 days of the Sukkot festival culminating in the 8th day. So here we have two festivals culminating in the giving of the Torah, which is the ultimate purpose of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So he says, well, these two festivals in between is like Chol HaMoed. It's a semi-festival. And that accounts for the specific significance of these 49 days. And this is applied in all generations. It was in the first generation when we went out from Egypt. It was applied in a similar manner when there was no Beit HaMikdash left, and no offerings could be brought. What was in place of the Beit HaMikdash? The holiness of the people of Israel did not cease. Where did it continue? And where does it continue to this day when we also don't have a temple? It continued even after the second Beit HaMikdash was destroyed and the people of Israel had no real future. What was the future? The way in which Rabbi Yochai, who was the spiritual and also political leader of Jewry at the time of the second destruction, he managed to obtain the continuity when Vespasian promised him that the Sanhedrin would continue in Yavne. There was still a continuation of the greatest wise men of the time. As long as the oral tradition, and which comes through the power of the Torah, from teacher to disciple, sometimes also from fathers to children, as long as that continues, Am Yisrael Chai. That's what we live on. We can apply this also today, a similar situation. What is it that gives continuity to the Jewish people? It's not just the written Torah. No, the written Torah frequently, or So finally, let's say the time of Maccabeans, even the time when this Beit HaMikdash was not active, it was made impure, and the Sefer Torah existed, but the Sefer Torah was kept in Aron, kept in Ark. And also come to our own time similarly. Not that alone does not help. If we don't have the active, live continuity of real study, of a connection between that written Torah and the people, which comes through learning it, often by heart, and living it, the people would be lost. So let's go back then to the time of Rabbi Akiva. We know Rabbi Akiva lived in a time of terrible Roman persecution. And he was really the model for the continuity of the Torah Shabbat to such an extent that when Moshe Rabbeinu was shown what's happened to the Torah, he was shown the teaching of Rabbi Akiva. They were on a very high level. And then he asked, since he's the greatest scholar, and he also has many disciples, he had 24,000 disciples, whom he taught his Torah. So he asked, what's happened? What's going to happen to him? He was shown his execution, the terrible suffering, the way in which his skin was raked from him, and when his body was burning in the fire of the Romans. But what did Rabbi Akiva say then? He said, all my life I've wanted to fulfill V'ahavta Hashem b'chol levavcha. He was a great lover of Hashem, and that's why he was also a great lover of other human beings, as expressed in many episodes. And also in saying, V'ahavta le'echa kamocha is the greatest klal in the Torah, because he was such a lover of Hashem, a lover of all Hashem's creatures. He said that's the main thing we have to apply in life. Yes, we have to gain a constant connection with Hashem where everything comes from Him, give up our lives to Him if necessary. What's even more important, not to die for Him, but to live for Him. How do you do that? Hashem, His name means He's the God of love. He gives us all the time from His love. So the way to do it is love other human beings, then you're one with Hashem. In fact, some people want to translate, if you will love your fellow man, then kamocha ani Hashem goes together. Then, like you, so am I. Kamocha, like you are, ani, so am I, the same thing. Because what do? What's Hashem mean? The one who gives existence. Literally means that the one who constantly causes all existence, everything. It's all an expression of the love of Hashem. That's the world in which you live in. And therefore, if you love your fellow man, then kamocha, I become like you. You become like me, I become like you. That was Rabbi Akiva. So he was the pillar of the fulfillment of how to raise a human being from the level as he was himself when he was young. His first 40 years, he was like that. He was on the level, almost you might say, he was so ignorant of Torah, had no knowledge at all. When we don't have knowledge of Torah, you don't know how to get out of your animal self, or how to control the animal self with the spiritual self. The Torah is what builds up his spiritual self. So he had experienced how to go up from the lowest to the highest. So we know, primarily also he was inspired through his wife, Tzaddikat. And why did his wife choose him? Because of his midot. She knew that inside he's got such good, kind qualities. But he's so ignorant. He doesn't know how to put them into practice. It's like also the Jews. Hashem knew the Jews inside, they're good. But they've been enslaved so much, also many of them through ignorance, they've become entirely assimilated to the Egyptians. And now there's the servitude, the persecution, and so on. You know, the terrible things, throw all the poison drowned in the Nile, the blood of some of the children were used to cement the building, with the bricks for the build up, the storehouses, store massive buildings. There was a cement for it. So all these things from the lowest level, and they were able to reach the highest level. He himself the same. So what happened? He had 24,000 disciples. Oh, they learned chavrusa one with the other, but they did not give kavod to one another even. They didn't fulfill their mission. Or they learned Torah, but if you don't learn Torah without midot, it's terrible. And they said, his Rocha but Kalbu Sabua, she knew. Also from her time, Chazal say about the fourth Perushim and so on, but Tzavuim, they may know a lot if there's no midot, even the extent you don't give kavod. And kavod is the first step towards ava. How can you ever reach v'ahavta kamocha if you don't even give honor to others? You don't have consideration for other people. The first thing is give consideration to others. A certain aspect of gratitude. You're living in a society where so many other people are helping you to live. So you've got to have kavod. The kavod will lead to ava. They didn't have kavod. So they were not fulfilling the whole purpose of the rejuvenation of Torah, which Rabbi Akiva brought about. He said, what's the purpose of it? So it was a plague. What was the plague? Diphtheria. And this, we're going to see now what actually happened with Rabbi Akiva. And the plague came, and we say diphtheria comes mainly from Lashon Hara, using a mouth. The mouth which should be there to develop good connections to other people, knowing there's not just one person here for your own self. As Hillel, who is his predecessor, said, also the great ones, who love human beings, and that's the way to bring them to Torah. But Hillel said, what's that mean? If I'm not for myself, I'm nothing. A person's got to make sure that he looks after himself. That all his talents that Hashem gave him, he should use them in order that he can be strong, physically, as well as morally and spiritually. Because if you don't look after yourself, starve away, then you can't help others. So he said, if I would use all my talents for myself, I'm nothing at all. I'm here in this world to produce chesed like Hashem constantly gives chesed. And they didn't have to take the first step. They say that diphtheria stops you talk, you can't talk anymore. It comes to the sin of Lashon Hara, using the power of speech, which should be used to develop your divine image and do kindness and pursue love instead of hate. What are you doing with it? Using it for speaking evil against others, which is generally self-love, but self-love to the extent that you hate others. You love yourself so much that other people are getting in your way. It produces hate, jealousy and hate. So if we look at the world today, the whole world is built up, a great part of the world, on hate. Their whole self-existence, they're defined by hating others. Well, we say the opposite. We, on the whole, Israel has come out from the terrible Holocaust, which was the expression of the most destructive hate ever known in human history. And on the whole, the survivors, and the children of the survivors, have said Lo amut ki echye v'asape masiko. I'm not going to die. Yaso Yisraniko. You brought us through terrible tests, like you brought Avraham Avinu, like you brought the generation came out from Egypt, like you brought the destruction of the first temple, the second temple. But we carry on as a nation, saying we believe in life and love. And unfortunately, some human beings believe in death and hate. And that's the world today. That is what is dividing the whole world and creating a terrible, dangerous situation for the survival of all life on this planet. And we are the ones who have been pioneers, as we try to do. Find Israel is the first medical teams to save anyone in the world, or in other words, to save people, comes from Israel. They're always willing for all human beings to look after them, even to the extent that some hospitals are filled with those who want to kill us. They get wounded here or something, we look after them. That's the situation. To a great extent, we educate for love. But those who are supposed to be our peace partners, they say, people who explode themselves in order, some of them, in order to kill as many people as possible, it doesn't matter if it's them, if they're Muslims or Christians or non-believers, it makes no difference. They just kill people, they believe in killing, you know. And what does our peace partner so-called say? He denies the Holocaust? Because he distorts history so much, he wants to say everyone else, you know, tables are turned, so all the lies they're telling, that we Jews try to kill innocent people. Well, the verse is true, the opposite, which is to show nonsense. But it says, not giving up. He's not giving up his educational program, his follow through of re-contaminating even little children to follow the path of death and hate, not stopping, especially to our peace partners. And also he's making great payments to the families of those who willfully, sometimes they try not to kill themselves, but often they do want to kill themselves, as long as they can kill hundreds and thousands of others at the same time, no matter who they are. And that, he's paid them. He said, any such person is a hero. Yeah? That's how it applies even till today. So Rabbi Akiva was very upset. This didn't even bother, that means they perhaps they even sometimes said nasty things to other people, and they didn't show their gratitude for other people, and at least the first respect you've got to give other people, give them some honor. Now, don't dishonor other people. And in their own circle, while they were learning Torah, they didn't follow the middle of Rabbi Akiva's. So the plague was for 32 days, not quite clear how to work them out, but they all stopped for the 33rd. They really stopped around the 32nd. So this is the concept of we say, it's very beautiful analysis of Leiv and Tov. The first 30 days, Leiv, unfortunately, the heart was there. Even God wants the heart. The Jewish heart, they all had a Jewish heart. Yeah? All Jews have a Jewish heart. The question is, does that heart go in the direction of Tov or Ra? So it's going to be Leiv Tov. So the first 32 days was a plague. On the 33rd day was the opposite. It stopped. No more plague. But unfortunately, so many had died. There were only five students who would reach a high level and followed Rabbi Akiva entirely. And they reached a very high level. And Rabbi Akiva, he knew, how was he going to rebuild? He said, I can only rebuild 3 to 5. One of them, the best one amongst them was Shimon ben Yochai. Baby of Shimon, we will find on thousands of pages in the Gemara Bavli Yerushalmi, Shimon. But he had mastery in halachic matters on the highest level, but also he had mastery on the hidden level. She kept more hidden, like had been the tradition for all time. They say Rabbi Akiva, for example, when he was a student, there were 3 other great scholars. The 4 of them, they all went into the Pardes. The Pardes is the paradise. It's to some extent what was experienced by Adam before the sin. That the world was a world of great beauty and harmony and closeness to Hashem in every way. And even inclination could not enter. The Nochos was the evil inclination, the serpent. Serpent was really away from, had no real power. It tried to get near. That's why it was in Kondasam. It surrounded the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was the Yetzirah. But the gun itself had a descent to the Eitz Chaim, eternal light. A high level of living. We say also, we're called up to the Torah, we say afterwards, Chaya Olam Nata B'tochenu. Hashem has put into our midst, inside us, eternal life. You say that when you've learned a bit of Torah. But when you enter properly into Torah, sages say, that is the Tavlin. The Torah is a Tavlin against the Yetzirah. If you have a Yetzirah, what do you have to do? Drag him to the Beis HaMedrash and give him Torah. And Torah is called a Samachayim for some time. It's called Elixir of life, of eternal life. Because the person gets through to that connection with Hashem. Torah is really the Torah of Hashem. Torah of Hashem is Torah of Chesed. It teaches you Chesed. If you get into it properly, you'll be saved. It's using your speech, your power of speech, for holy things, for the word of Hashem who's mitzvah Chesed. So, person who puts himself into that, and he's able to experience eternal life. The Rabbi even defines it. Why is it called Olam Haba? He says that it's not called Olam Haba because the world only exists after your death. Like it's translated the hereafter. It's not thereafter. He said it's here and now. The Olam Haba is there now. You can only experience it mamish to the full after death, because then you're no longer bothered by any obstruction from the animal part of your nature. But even with your animal part of the nature, the purpose why did Hashem put us into this world? Because in this world we can earn by our own power of freedom to make sure that you, Hashem, will help us to attach ourselves to the Yetzirah, that you go for Hafta L'Shem B'chol Levavcha. B'chol Levavcha b'shnei Yitzarecha. The heart is a double heart. The heart can turn to good or can turn to evil. So, as we explained, the Leiv, the first 32 days, should have been used for Levavcha, to allow the good heart to overcome the bad heart. But 30 days of this terrible disease, which came because they spoke too much Lashon Hara, they spoke badly about one another, using the power of speech, which is the expression of the heart, not for good but for evil, not for Eitz HaChaim, but the Eitz HaDat Tov Hara. So therefore, these problems arose. So really, in order to understand this more deeply, we are not it's too difficult for us to get to Meron, to go and participate in the enormous, which has become the greatest festival for the Jewish people, attended by many people more than any other occasion, and from different countries they come. And you can't even get near to, very difficult, get near anywhere to the actual Akiva of Rabbi Shimon Yochai. So what I will do today, we'll try to understand Lag BaOmer from Rabbi Shimon and Yochai, which is described on the 33rd page of Gemara Shabbos. There's a reason for this also, because Shabbos also brings you to use your speech in this material world, also not just use your mouth for speech, use your mouth for food as well. But the food is Oneg Shabbat, is Otid Nagal Hashem. It's feeling the Oneg. And we know that the Sefer Yetzirah, the earliest work, both of Lashon HaKodesh, Hebrew grammar, as well as the earliest mystical work in Jewish tradition, the best basic concepts of which are attributed even to Avraham Avinu. So there it says that the whole of the world, one understand it, is either Oneg or Nega. Life, you can choose. Life could be the greatest joy, Oneg, or as we find in altogether the Hebrew language does recognize the ambivalence of the human being, as what great literary giant said, the human being is a bundle of conflicting emotions. So you either follow Oneg, the greatest joy, or we even go to letters one time we did, or Nega, or it becomes a plague, one or the other. Life can become a plague, life can become a joy. What's it depend on? Whether your heart is L'tov or your heart is L'ra. And you have the good heart to go and use the so-called Lev Ra to go and direct that Ra, direct the animal soul to be a servant to the higher spiritual soul. So now we're going to apply all this to what the Gemara says in the time of the Roman persecution. There was the Romans, we know they introduced nice buildings and better roads to the land of Israel, but there was a period, a very severe period, Hadrianic persecutions and others, time of Rabbi Akiva. And there were the following, it's on page Lamed Gimel Omer page. I've got an article that will help you. I'll just read it in English, makes it easier for everyone. The following is described. There was a person, Rabbi Huda, who was together with Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yossi. These three great scholars at that time. And this was the time when this was after Rabbi Akiva time, when there was continued persecution of anyone who taught Torah. But there was a way. The Romans, as long as people kept to everything that they demanded, they felt that the Jews were following all their rules. So this discussion took place by these great scholars. But there was another person with them, another Rabbi Yehuda, but his parents were proselytes. But he was still a scholar. So Rabbi Yehuda, it's revealed by law, the regular Rabbi Yehuda, who was the lived in the time of Shimon ben Yochai, he began and said, how admirable are the deeds of the Romans. Or they rule us, but they do good things. What do? They establish marketplaces. They have established bridges over rivers and streams. They have established bathhouses, done good things. Rabbi Yochai was silent, said nothing. But then Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, he was very open, and he used to teach Torah whenever he could, because they didn't like the Romans. But he said, whatever the Romans did, they did it to serve their own needs. They established marketplaces in order to put proselytes there. No, not proselytes, sorry, to put their harlots, there for immorality. The bathhouses they made to beautify their own bodies. The bridges they built to collect heavy taxes and tolls from those who crossed them. So Huda Megerim, he mentioned it to his family and to those who were around him, some of his associates. He had no intention to do any harm. He just told them we had this discussion. I suppose there's different points of view. But reports were heard by the Roman overseers, the governing authorities. So they put out a decree. They said, Yehuda, who said good things about us, we will allow him constantly to lead all discussions and debates with the Jews. He should be his main spokesman. Yossi was silent. You should have supported him. Supported Rabbi Yehuda. He better not be in places of importance. We're giving him, like it's done in our country also, we don't allow him to come to any places of major centers of decision making of what the Jews do. He'd have to go to the town of Tzipori, which is deal with industry, but we're not allowed him to come, not to Yerushalayim, not to Hebron, not to other Caesarea and other places. But Shimon, who made those denigrations of the Romans, he's going to be executed. We'll make an example of him and kill him as soon as possible in a cruel manner. So what did he do? Shimon had a son, Elazar. So they hid in the Beis HaMedrash. He wouldn't go in the street, anywhere else. And his wife, the wife of Rabbi Shimon, she brought bread and water. But the Romans were looking for him everywhere. They were hunting for him, for Shimon. So Shimon said to his son, you know what will happen? They'll get hold of my wife and they torture her till they find out where we are, and then they kill us. So they said, what we'd have to do, we have to go into a secure hiding place, and no one should know where we are. And they found a cave. They hid themselves in the cave. Some was near Pekin, some say. There's a carob tree there. They went and hid themselves in a cave. There was no food. They won't have a connection with anyone, because they thought that way we'd be executed. So a miracle occurred. And there was a carob tree. Generally, a carob tree only bears fruit after 70 years. But this carob tree had fruit, wasn't there before. And also there was a fountain of water. That's where they lived on. And at night, when they wanted to sleep, they take off their clothes and they would sit covered in sand up to their necks, even sometimes without sleep. All day long they would learn together. When times came for prayer, they'd have to dress, cover themselves and pray. And they would return, shed their clothes. They tried to keep their clothes clean. And in between, they went in the sand. They didn't want their clothes to wear out either. And they were there for 12 years in that situation. Because the hunt after them was still going on. The question, what did they learn there? Well, they learned the open oral traditions, as we find many discussions, especially over Shimon, in halachic matters, also general Haggadik matters. But there they went much deeper, the deepest levels of spiritual communion, to understand the more secret aspects of the Torah. At the end of 12, and I suppose Elijah appeared to them quite a few times and helped them along in their learning. At the end of 12 years, Elijah came and said to them, they're not hunting for you anymore. They've given up the hunt. And there's a new government, they're a bit nicer to us now. So you can come out. So he came out. And she says, who's going to inform Ben Yochai that this emperor, previous emperor died, and his decrees have become annulled, so you can be free now. So they came out. And they saw people who were ploughing the land, the field, and sowing crops. So they wondered, Shimon said, what? They're forsaking the pursuit of the life world to come and going over to these temporary matters, transient physical aspects. Don't need it. And to understand this here, we'll have to carry on tomorrow. It's based on the Gemara, some of you learned it together, of basic difference, halachically, between Rabbi Shimon and his group, how they learn Torah, and Rabbi Ishmael. And this is the reference here. Anyway, that's the first introduction we have here to understand the biography of Shimon ben Yochai, who was the major disciple of Rabbi Akiva. So, I'm sure you've got any question on this? If you can bring them at the beginning of tomorrow's shir, and then try to answer any questions, but we'll continue a bit to understand the deeper significance of Lag BaOmer. And I'll tell you something else, which I haven't seen it many mention this, that Lag BaOmer, if you work out in the Chumash, on which day, what was special in the Chumash that happened on the 18th of Iyar, which is Lag BaOmer. It's mentioned in the Chumash, what happened, which explains everything. That Lag BaOmer goes back to the time when Am Yisrael were wandering in the desert. That perhaps you can answer it tomorrow.